Welcome to Mission Minute News. I'm Dominican Sister of Mission San Jose, Jean Harris. First, the headlines. SVD Sesquicentennial celebrates global missionary service. On board with Pope Francis. All Christians must reaffirm human dignity. 40 years of SVD presence in Korea. Superior General receives perpetual vows. Nicaraguan government cracks down on women's congregations. These stories and more on Mission Minute News. SVD Sesquicentennial celebrates global missionary service. The Society of the Divine Word, SVD, headquartered in Rome and one of the largest missionary congregations in the Catholic Church, is proud and happy to announce its 150th anniversary. Founded on September 8, 1875 by St. Arnold Jansen in Stijl, Netherlands, the Society has grown to over 6,000 members, working in more than 80 countries across 6 continents to spread the Word of God. From building churches, schools, and clinics to advocating for social justice and human rights, SVD missionaries have made significant contributions to the spiritual and social well-being of countless individuals across the globe. Special events and initiatives will commemorate the milestone under the theme, Witnessing to the Light from Everywhere for Everyone, and culminate on September 8, 2025. Celebrations to spread God's love and foster global solidarity will include commemorative masses and ceremonies worldwide honoring the founding generation and giving thanks for blessings received over the years. Community outreach programs to continue the mission of promoting peace, justice, and reconciliation. Historical exhibitions showcasing the rich history and contributions of the Society over 150 years, and fundraising campaigns to support ongoing and future missionary work. This historic and spiritually fertile event unites us as SVDs and summons us to come together as one family to joyfully celebrate our common identity as Brother Divine Word missionaries, said Father John Kirby, Provincial of the U.S. Western Province. On September 8, 2024, Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Jubilee year officially began with a celebration of the Eucharist in St. Michael Mission House in Stijl, presided over by the Very Reverend Anselmo Ricardo Ribeiro, newly elected Superior General. In his message, he said, "With Mary, the Spirit created the salvation of mankind in the midst of the chosen people. With Arnold, in the midst of the adversity and political persecution of his time, the Spirit created not only a missionary institute, but a family that today includes not only 3 religious communities of the order, but also countless lay workers. A jubilee is a milestone to evaluate, celebrate, and make a commitment for the future. The year of Jubilee must recreate relationships that have become unjust and unequal. Evaluating our history means recognizing the lights and shadows on our path, among us and with our partners, which requires sincerity and courage. We need to be open to reconciliation with our past so that a new history can happen. Where necessary, we have to ask and receive forgiveness, which is part of the process of healing our wounds and the wounds we have caused. We celebrate the joy of being who we are, men consecrated to the mission, gathered in intercultural communities. We announce the divine word and assume his life and mission as ours. We pitch our tent in places where the gospel has not been known or is not yet lived. We seek to dialogue with everyone, becoming one with people and putting the vulnerable, poor, and those who suffer first. There must be room for everyone at this party. We cannot make distinctions and no one should be left out, stated the Reverend Superior General. SVD communities across the world celebrated the Eucharist as well on Founding Day to open the sesquicentennial year. On board with Pope Francis. Pope Francis puts cordiality before protocol. On board his flight to Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, Timor-Leste, and Singapore earlier this month, he walked all the way down the left aisle and the plane and back up the right, stopping to shake hands and exchange greetings with every reporter, editor, and camera person on board. Some asked for prayers for friends in distress, others their rosaries to be blessed, and still others had brought a gift for the Holy Father, like the torch from a migrant rescue boat that had helped a group of migrants make their way to safety through the darkness. His faithful and tireless aide, Salvatore Scolazzi, introduced newcomers and recalled the names and publications of the veterans, one by one. One gift Francis appeared to appreciate in particular was the T-shirt of a young boy stabbed to death in Spain just a few weeks before as he played football with his friends. The Pope's thank you surely was for their work of conveying his message and closeness to people, but it was also for telling the stories of those who are forced to flee their homes and embark on dark and dangerous journeys, and who find themselves, like Jesus, rejected, marginalized, and even condemned for sins they did not commit. All Christians must reaffirm human dignity. In a message to the 17th Inter-Christian Symposium, Pope Francis said all Christians must reaffirm the intrinsic dignity of every person in the face of contemporary questions about what it means to be human. The Pope's message to the symposium highlighted what he called a fully fledged revolution in contemporary anthropology, a rethinking of human identity, humanity's role in the world and in society, and the transcendental vocation of every human being. The Pope proposed that the way in which today's men and women understand the fundamental experiences of their existence, such as engendering, being born, and dying, is changing structurally. Information technology, particularly artificial intelligence, and other sciences are revolutionizing these questions. This anthropological revolution, he says, demands profound reflection. Congratulating the organizers of this year's symposium with its theme, What is Man in the Time of Anthropological Mutation, the Holy Father noted, it is particularly interesting to see Catholics and Orthodox promoting this reflection together. Pope Francis insisted that it is necessary for every Christian, whatever church they belong to reaffirm the intrinsic dignity of every human being, no matter their socioeconomic position or existential condition, and regardless of whether or not they act in accordance with that dignity. The defense of this dignity against very real threats such as poverty, war, and exploitation is a common commitment for all churches to work on together, he said. The Pope assured the symposium of his prayers through the intercession of Saint Nicola Pellegrino, the 11th century patron saint of Trani, Italy, where the symposium was taking place in late August. 40 years of SVD presence in Korea. Divine Word missionaries recently celebrated the 40th anniversary of their ministry in Korea with a solemn Mass at the St. Joseph Frenadamit's house in Seoul. The milestone event was presided over by Bishop Job Yobi Koo, Auxiliary Bishop of the Archdiocese of Seoul, and attended by numerous priests, sisters, and lay people. During the Mass, the bishop expressed his gratitude for the tireless work of the Divine Word missionaries and encouraged the congregation to continue its mission into the future with renewed vigor, faith, and hope, emphasizing the importance of collaboration between clergy and lay people in the work, and underscoring the essential role of all community members to spread the Christian message. Superior General receives perpetual vows. Father General Anselmo Ricardo Ribeiro, SVD, received the perpetual vows of 16 young confreres on August 15th, Solemnity of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, at St. Paul Major Seminary in Ledalero on Flores Island, Indonesia. In his homily, Father Ribeiro emphasized that God enters into the history of humanity by taking humanity itself as his collaborator, and that Mary's yes was her part in the work of salvation. Addressing the young missionaries, he said that their response to God's call through religious vows is a commitment to lead a simple life, a poor life, listening to God's will in obedience, so that in your lives the light of Christ may shine. Father Ribeiro also thanked the formation community of Ledalero and the families of the young men for their support, testimony, and prayers. The Eucharist was presided over by Father Joseph Emmanuel Embu, SVD, provincial of the Indonesia Ende province, and concelebrated by several confreres, including visitors from other provinces. SVD brothers and Holy Spirit sisters also participated in the celebration. Nicaraguan government cracks down on women's congregations. All but 4 of the 26 Catholic congregations recently stripped of their legal status in Nicaragua were women religious. But a Nicaraguan sister told Global Sisters Report, August 27th, that even the latest large-scale government crackdown won't shake their resolve to help people and provide them hope. She also urged Catholics outside Nicaragua to tell others about their plight. Those of us here, because of the situation, we can't say anything. We can't publish anything. We absolutely cannot share any information the way a normal person would in a normal country, she told GSR. But that's something the rest of the church can do. GSR is withholding the sister's name for her safety and that of her congregation. The government's actions have the potential to negatively affect the health of Nicaraguan people, their access to food and other services for the elderly and poor, which many women religious provide via their ministries, not to mention their contributions to Catholic schools that now have been taken over by the government, she said. But women religious will remain with the Nicaraguans, no matter what happens, and won't allow anyone to take away the faith and hope that remain, she said. What's most important right now is to create networks of solidarity among us and be close to one another and help with whatever the other congregations may need, she said. And another sentiment that has arisen is to want to remain firm in hope and to live, as we all say, day by day, no matter what happens, until when we can no longer do so. The women's congregations were among 1,500 nonprofits stripped of their legal status in a single day. When legal status is taken away, the government freezes the organization's bank accounts and seizes their properties, the U.S. State Department said in a 2024 report, which also points out that 3,600 other nonprofits in Nicaragua have undergone a similar fate since 2018. The government publication La Gaceta that stated that nonprofits had not met their obligation and accused them of not reporting financial information. Among them were Baptist, Pentecostal, and evangelical groups, and also organizations promoting arts, sports, culture, and indigenous identity. Those evolving sisters. Last March, we reported on a February article by Sister Judith Schaefer, FSPA, in the Global Sisters Report about the challenge facing religious orders today, particularly the sisters, to transform their identity from regulated uniformity to interindividuality, from serving as cogs in institutional wheels to being self-actualizing individual persons. An April article by the same psychologist offered navigational advice to sisters on the challenge. Besides their traditional tools of prayer and hard work, the article suggests studying insights from Bob Dylan and Walt Whitman. But first, Schaefer agrees with psychologist Robert Kagan that all people are part of evolutionary movement. In fact, in his book, The Evolving Self, Kagan says, we are already moving. We can only choose how we will move, what we will keep, and what we will let go of. Schaefer then quotes Dylan, "Life isn't about finding yourself or finding anything. Life is about creating yourself." And more poetically, Whitman sings, "I celebrate myself and sing myself." Returning to Kagan, Sister says that evolving to the interindividual stage will be wholesome only if we welcome others into our space, celebrate them as they sing themselves, and collaborate with them to meet the evolving needs of all creatures. Sisters must honor differences and even feed on them because all speak of the will and plan of the Creator. She says Vatican II opened the door to reimagining religious life. Now, finally, women religious can evolve to the interindividual stage, inter in the sense of honoring all members of the human community, and individual, requiring women religious to remain themselves and let others do the same. Integrating these two directions will allow women religious to broaden situations and ambiguities and deepen relationships and curiosity, bringing them to new levels of intimacy within themselves and with others. They must cease being achievers intent on doing and must become beings, interpersonally and intimately connected with one another. Take it from the sisters. This next story is about retreats. Have you ever made a retreat? A weekend, a week, a month? Take it from the sisters. You won't regret it. Yes, the word simply means to leave the scene, get away from where you are, from regular life and routine. Stop in the name of love, as the Supremes roared in the 70s. Businesses popularly use the term to mean let's reconnoiter, get away from the office to think clearly and creatively about our purpose, our goals, and the means and personnel we're employing to accomplish them. But for religious, like priests and sisters, retreat has a very specific and usually treasured meaning. In the July edition of the online Global Sisters Report, Good Shepherd Sister Monique Taurabe reported on one very special retreat at the lovely Sarah Retreat House in Malibu, California. While the ambiance of ocean vistas and thoughtful appointments provided relaxing relief, it was the content covered in the week that struck her deeply. Retreat leader Carol Quinlivan, a sister of St. Joseph, guided the 33 attending sisters from a variety of congregations through an exploration of images of God, a deepening of each sister's friendship with the divine, and meaningful sacred stops along the way. She also emphasized the interconnectivity and mutual support within the group and with all creation, leading the group through prayer and ritual to a new empowerment in their respective vocations. Celtic music and traditions added a soothing backdrop to the reflections as the participating sisters explored their unique spiritual paths, reports Sister Monique. Take it from the sisters, make a retreat. Lifted off and hard at work. Late last year, Mission Minute News reported the bold new adventure of the Environmental Defense Fund, EDF, the production of its very own methane tracking satellite. An article by Shanti Menon in EDF's spring newsletter proudly announced the March 4th launch of MethaneSat. Recall, methane is an invisible gas over 80 times more harmful to the climate than CO2. It's the main component of natural gas. This new satellite can now accurately locate methane's presence around the globe to show clearly where leakage is occurring and reduction is needed. MethaneSat is a critical new tool in the climate fight, says EDF President Fred Krupp. Key areas like the US, China, India, Russia, and Brazil will be scanned as the satellite orbits Earth 15 times each day, pinpointing particular methane emitters in the oil, gas, and agricultural industries, and even in coal mining and landfills eventually. Methane was first diagnosed as a major climate offender as late as 2012. This awareness is growing rapidly within U.S. industries trying to prevent leakage in both production and distribution. Besides that, more than 150 nations have now signed the 2021 Global Methane Pledge to collectively cut these emissions by at least 30% by 2030. And EDF's summer report announced a goal to cut methane pollution by 75% in those same 6 years. Menon's follow-up article in the summer issue concludes with the good news that the faster methane is reduced, the faster the world will see improved climate results, less wildfire, drought, and other dangerous climate disruption. Every contributor to EDF should stand proud. They may have provided only a screw on MethaneSat, but all together, we're riding that spaceship to a better climate. Women deacons someday? In late August and early this month, 2 priest journalists voiced their differing positions on the issue of ordaining women as Catholic deacons. Tom Reese, Jesuit, and Dan Horan, Franciscan. Like other activists on this issue, both priests expressed disappointment that the topic got removed from the agenda of the final session of the Synod. It seems the overarching need for stressing synodality, especially regarding decision-making by both laity and clergy, takes precedence, hinting, hopefully, that women's voices will thus be heard equally with men's. After 2 previous commissions to study the subject, one in 2016, the other 2020, neither with public report, a third committee on women deacons will meet soon and then quietly recede into obscurity. Father Dan ascribes the cynical aphorism from higher ed and politics to these actions as committees are where ideas go to die. While Father Dan has had it with ecclesiastical procrastination, Father Tom gets down to the nitty-gritty of the issue. What are deacons for anyway? He explains that the original purpose envisioned by Vatican II to assist in mission territories was never achieved. Unless, of course, one now considers the U.S. and Europe to have become missions. In fact, African bishops have long preferred the catechist role as an ideal help for preparing people for Christian commitment and living. Actual permanent deacons' activities, homily giving, baptizing, witnessing weddings, only the couple are the ministers, and non-Eucharistic funerals do not need a minister with clerical status. Lay people could be delegated to perform them with some simple changes in church law. So if we don't need or want women to be deacons, fine. But we really don't need men deacons either. Let both women and men simply be catechists. Father Dan, on the other hand, holds the hope, if distant, of someday having women deacons. If you have a comment or question about any of our stories, please email us at missionminutenews@wordnet.tv. You can also post your comments below each video on YouTube. We promise to respond. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon. Share with others about the channel and the variety of programs you enjoy there. Please join us every Wednesday for our online Eucharist and Adoration and Benediction of the Blessed Sacrament, starting at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. You can always catch it later on YouTube. Also, send us your prayer requests or intentions for Eucharist by contacting us by phone at 909-383-4333 or send an email to mail@wordnet.tv. This is Mission Minute News. Enjoy autumn days. Stay safe and well, and may Jesus' love for you make you smile.